And there we go. Okay. Everything should be good now. Hope I got everything right. All right. Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Good, and you?
Good. Just checking, making sure people are still alive. Adequate. All right, awesome. Okay, just making sure. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead here and I'm gonna open up ROS tutorials. Sure. That's weird. Okay. Okay. Will work now. Okay, this time it works. Sure. So if you guys remember from before, we've gone through the first 4 tutorials, and we're going to be moving on to the 5th one now. I'm going to try my best to go through it pretty quickly. I only have 50 minutes, but I'm going to try to go through 5, 6, 10, and 12. Let's see if we can do it. Please stop me if I'm going too fast, or if you guys have any questions or anything. I'll try my best to make sure I check the chat and everything like that. Okay. So I clicked on the Understanding Nodes tutorial, and I'm going to be starting it off. So for one of the prerequisites for this tutorial is you have to have this installed. You have to have you put in melodic here, but ROS melodic ROS tutorials should be installed. If you guys remember from that first tutorial that we did together, there was a command that made you like download ROS, and I believe that should have downloaded this. You can go ahead and run this line just to make sure, but you should already have this. But yeah, moving on, we're going to get started today with all of the nodes and the topics and pubs and subs and all this stuff that I've been talking about for a really long time, and now we're finally going to get to actually work on them. One thing I'm going to open up here is I'm going to go to source, and really quickly I'm going to explain just one more time what a node is and what a topic is and what all of that stuff is, and then we'll get into all of this. So just kind of to say it simply, a node is literally just a piece of code, and that's all that a node is. It's just a piece of code that has some ROS like commands and things like that in there. And the way ROS works is that it allows nodes to talk to each other. And one nice way to visualize this is with this guy right here, where you have a node and you have another node. This one is a publisher, and this one is a subscriber. So this node publishes a message onto a topic, and then this subscriber subscribes to that topic and receives the message. So you have this node over here, it's going to be its own whole code, and it has a publisher in there. It goes to that topic, and then this guy's its own whole code and has a subscriber in there, and it subscribes to that topic. And the reason nodes and this stuff is good, like that might not look great, but if I open up this one here, now we have one node, and this is acting as a publisher, and it publishes to the topic, and then there's 2 different nodes subscribing to that topic, and they're both receiving that message. So like you can imagine, like in an actual robotic system, if you want to send a piece of data to multiple different codes, this is exactly what you would do. So like if you have like some sort of sensor data, just imagine some sort of sensor data is that message. And then you have some code over here, like let's say like the controls code. And then you have another code over here, like maybe like computer vision, just that's not correct, but just like imagine like this is another one over here and another one. You can send that message out to both of them at the same time. And then in the real system, we'll have like a bunch of different nodes, and they'll all be publishing to a bunch of different topics, and they'll all be subscribing to a bunch of different topics as well. But that's like the general outline of how those things work. And then now we'll get started with like actually getting into them. 45 minutes. Okay, let's see if we can do it. Let's get started into actually like using them. I'm going to try to go a little quickly, so I don't know if I'll fully explain everything, but if you want to know something, make sure you ask. Yeah, so the first thing you always run every time you want to start up anything that's basically ROS related is you have to run ROS core. And ROS core is kind of like a basically what it does is it creates a master, and this master basically like all you need to really know is that it creates a master, and then that master allows all of the nodes to talk to each other. So right after you create this, it says auto starting new master. It lets you have all of your, it lets you like, it basically it turns on like all of the ROS commands and everything. So if you want to have like two nodes, like in these GIFs, if you want to have anything communicating, if you want to run any sort of ROS command from a terminal, you're going to need this ROS core running. And that's the first thing that everybody's going to need to get set up. It should work automatically. If you get some sort of error, let me know. Usually, since this is like the most basic stuff, if you just copy paste the error, there's going to be some sort of solution you can find online in like a minute. But yeah, that's all there is to ROS core, is just turning that on. And then I'll leave it on in the corner for now, but I'll probably minimize it in a minute just because you don't really need this open. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't change at all. You just minimize it and you're done. Now there's a bunch of other stuff in this tutorial. I think I'll go through it really quickly and then we'll get on to the next one, but let's open up a new terminal here. So I'll skip over this stuff. I'm gonna be skipping over a bunch of stuff just for time's sake. You guys can go ahead and run these codes, run these lines. There's some useful stuff in here that's worth going over, so feel free to actually go through the tutorial yourself as well. But I'm going to go on to this ROS run really quickly. So this ROS run command right here, whenever you're using it, it's what you use to run a node. So you give it the name of the package and then you give it the name of the node. So like this turtle one here, for example, the name of the package is turtle sim, and then the name of the node is turtle sim underscore node. And if I pressed enter here, it would make this little turtle right here. And this is its own node. So this code, it's like there's going to be a code that's going to say like make a blue screen and put a turtle on there, and that's one node, and this is what it does. So ROS run, and then the package, and then the name of the node, and it created this node basically. I'm going to close it for now. Actually, I'll open it back up just to show you guys that command really quickly. Yeah, and every time you do it, it opens up a different kind of turtle. I don't know if you guys noticed that it changed, but so now this terminal over here is running ROS core. This one over here is running this turtle. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and make another one. And there's a command named ROS node list, and it lists all of the nodes that you have open right now. So ROS out has to do with this ROS core, so you can ignore that. That's always going to be there. But it tells you, okay, now we have a turtle sim node that's open right now. That's just like a useful command where if you're opening up like 5, 6 different nodes, you run this and you make sure all of them are actually there. Yeah, and then there's like a ping command in here. I won't go over it right now, but it's a useful command if you want to use it. Yeah, so feel free to go over this stuff later. But that's literally all there is to tutorial 5. I'm going to skip on to 6 really quickly. Looks like we're decent on time. So it wants me to run ROS core again, but I already have it open. It wants me to run the turtle sim node, but I already, where's it at? I already have it open back here. I'm going to just put it on top of this. And now it wants me to run this line right here, ROS run turtle sim and then turtle. I think it's teleop. I've always been saying teleop. I don't know if that's right. The ROS run and then turtle sim. If you guys remember here, we had ROS run turtle sim. So this and this are part of the same package. But now we're going to do turtle teleop key. Over here, it was just turtle sim node. So we have this one running this. And now over here, if I press enter, it says reading from keyboard, use arrow keys to move the turtle. So over here, now while I'm in this terminal, if I click on my arrow keys, I went over this in one of the other workshops, but you can see like I'm clicking on the arrow keys, you can hear me clacking and the turtle's moving around. And what's happening here, just to explain it really quickly, is this window over here is a publisher. And every time I press a key with my arrow, every time I press an arrow key, this publishes a message to a certain topic. Now this code over here, the one that's showing the turtle, is subscribed to that topic. And it's like it's taking in the command and it's making the turtle do whatever the command is. And to visualize this, if I scroll down a little bit, there's, let me move this off to the side. Right here, you can see there's a, it's kind of like a graphical ROS tool, I guess is a way to explain it. But if you run this command, so sudo apt-get install ROS and then melodic rqt, and same thing for this, what it'll do is it'll give you rqt in all of its commands. And this is like another one of the things in ROS. So if I do ROS run, it's like another kind of node, but ROS run rqt graph, and I press enter, it shows all of the, it shows like all of the nodes and how they're communicating. So turtle sim here is the blue one and it's subscribing, right, to this topic. And then turtle teleop key is the one where I put in the arrows and it's publishing to this topic. That's just like a general idea of how it works. I'm gonna make you guys like a different publisher and subscriber and make it more simple. So if this is confusing, don't worry about it. I'll try to go in and explain it one more time in a minute here. But yeah, so that's how all of that works. Actually, now might be a good time. If I run ROS node list again and I press enter, so we have ROS out, which is the ROS core, the teleop key, which is the one with the arrows here. Oops. And the turtle sim, which is the one that's showing that guy. So it just shows like all the stuff that we have open, but I'll go ahead and I'll close this and exit out and close this and X that out. And then I'm gonna minimize ROS core. I didn't X ROS core out, I just minimized it. So it's always gonna be on. I'm not turning that off. Just keep in mind, everything I'm doing from now on, ROS core is gonna be on. Yeah, but if you go down past tutorial 6, not past it, but keep going down tutorial 6, there's a bunch of pretty useful commands down here. So ROS topic and then running any of these is gonna be kind of useful. I'm not gonna go through all of them just because there are a lot and they all do a bunch of different things, but I highly recommend, let me just double check that there's nothing else in here. Anything useful in here? No. Yeah, this one plots your data. Yeah, okay. So I highly recommend tutorial 5 and tutorial 6, going through it. And like what I did last year was I literally just took a notebook and I wrote down the command, and then in one line I tried to quickly summarize what does it do. And then next command, what does it do? And so I just had a page, every single line was a different command and what it did. You guys obviously don't have to do that, but just if you, is this working by the way? Okay. Just if you want to learn like all the all the commands and things like that, and you want to go more in depth in ROS, I definitely recommend going through like the rest of 5 and 6. But yeah, I'm gonna skip over 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 right now. These are decent to go through. Yeah, if you guys want, I definitely recommend checking these out as well, just like quickly skimming through them and seeing if there's anything in there that's nice. Yeah, so I definitely recommend that, but I'm gonna skip to number 12. Let me just double check. Yeah, okay, yeah, so we're gonna be skipping over to number 12, and it looks like we're doing decent on time. Okay. So we went over kind of nodes and topics, and we're gonna go like kind of more in depth into them right now. And we're gonna do that by making our first publisher finally. Um, yeah, so it wants you to go into your beginner tutorials package, and it wants you to like make this script and everything like that. You can do that. Just if you don't want to get confused, you can go ahead and do it the way they want you to do it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, where are we? Right here. I'm gonna go into my workspace. So this is my like main workspace, right? But if I go into my source folder and I do ls, I have a bunch of other like semi kind of workspaces in here. So like my RoboSub workspace, for example, if I go into here, I have a Robo Nodes folder, and I'm gonna go into that one. And then this is what you guys should kind of see in your main. Here, let me do clear. This is what you guys should kind of see. You should see like a cmakelist.txt, a package.xml, and now if you don't have a source folder, you can make one. They want you to name it scripts. Personally, I prefer naming it source, src, but scripts and source should both work. Either way is fine. I'm going to go into source though. And then in here, I'm going to be putting all of my publishers and subscribers and everything like that. So if I make this larger and do clear, great. I can't grab the top of it. Put this right there. Does it let me grab it? Nice, okay. I have a bar that's blocking the top over here, but yeah, let me do this again. Okay, yeah. So you guys will have like your package, and then right before this source folder, you'll have like a package.xml, and then that CMake list, if you guys remember from the other tutorial and everything like that. And then you're going to want to go into source or scripts, and then in here, I'm going to be putting my publisher and subscribers. So I'm thinking what I'll do here is I'll go through it line by line. It's not very long. It's literally just like 20 lines. I'll try to type it up, and then I'll explain like what each line kind of does. So I'm gonna go nano. We can go ahead and name this. It doesn't really matter. You can name it whatever you want. Let's just call it rn_pub.py. So if you guys remember from that other workshop, like nano, we're making this file. I'm gonna name it rnpub, and it's a Python file. And now we're into here. So first line that this guy wants you to write is this. So it wants you to do, where's it at? It wants you to do /user/bin/environment Python. And what this line does is it tells ROS that this is a Python file. So this .py, whenever you're using it, that's if you're, let me get out of here really quickly. I'm just saving that. So you guys see how we made this rnpub.py, right? If I wanted to run that code, I could do Python. But if I want to run it the way I ran the other one, like ROS run, then I have to tell ROS that it's a Python file in like the first line, basically. So at the very top, you throw this line in there. And then this is just a comment. I'm not going to include it. Next up is import ROSPy. Jeez, ROSPy. And what import ROSPy does is it basically, it imports all of the ROS commands that are related to Python. So like all of the all of these commands like create a publisher and initialize a node and things like that, this import ROSPy will import all of those commands. And I'll get into like those commands in a second here. But next up is from standard messages dot message import string. I can't type, just import string. And if you guys remember again from another tutorial that we did, we imported whenever we created a package, we made the dependency a standard messages, right? Like one of those dependencies was called standard messages. And so since we did that, we can use standard messages in this code. And what this does from standard messages import string is it brings in like the definition of a string so that later on in the code, we're going to be publishing a string. And whenever you want to publish something, you need to have like its definition given, kind of. But yeah, that's like all there is to that, really. It's not very difficult. I'll skip here just because they did it. Let's see right here for a second. Yeah. So next line here, it wants you to say define talker. Just to show you guys that you can name it whatever you want. I'm gonna name mine like the talker just to change it, just cause. And this is the equivalent of like, if you guys remember the Python, the Arduino tutorials where we made like void. In Python, they're called def, so define. So we're defining this function. And this is what this is gonna do. So first up, we're gonna have a publisher. Let's name it, actually, one thing I don't like about this tutorial is that this line is in front of this line. So I'm gonna rearrange this one right here. First, I'm gonna run this line right here. So I'm gonna do rospy dot init node. And what this does is, all right, just checking for questions. What this does is it initializes the node, just like it says. So you do rospy.init node, it takes this code and it says, okay, we're initializing this as a node. And the first thing you put into here is the name of your node. So over here, they named it talker. I want to name mine, what do I want to name mine? It's a publisher, right? So why don't we just name it the publisher? Or even the pub. No, I'll name it the publisher. Okay, so I'm making a node and I'm naming the node the publisher. That's the first step. And then next up, this line right here, let's see if I can spell it right. Did I? Hey, I did, nice. Anonymous equals true. All that this does is it throws a bunch of random numbers at the end of this. So anonymous equals true just puts like a bunch of random numbers like that at the end of this guy's name. And it's a little bit complicated. Really, the only reason you would need this is if you're gonna run like this code twice, kind of. So if you're gonna have two nodes that are named the publisher. But I mean, this isn't very useful. You could put this as false, nothing is gonna happen. But I'll put it there just cause they have it. So we initialized the node and we named it the publisher. And then now I'm gonna do the line that they want me to do. I'm gonna do this line right here. And instead of pub, I'll name mine the pub, just to show you can name it whatever you want. The pub, and then rospy.publisher. So it's saying this node is a publisher. So now rospy.publisher, and then first thing you do is you give it the name of the topic. So on the publisher and on the subscriber, you have to give it the name of the topic to publish and to subscribe to. So whatever we put here, we have to put in the other code as well. I'm going to rename this one to our publisher, just because I use the pub over here. I don't want to get confused. So I'm going to rename this to our publisher, right? And then over here, I'm going to name my topic our topic. So this is the topic that we're publishing to. I'm going to name it our topic. And then it wants to know what kind of message are you sending on the topic. And since I put string up here, I'm going to put string in here. So I'm going to be sending a string. And then Q, can I spell it right? So just, yeah. Q size equals 10. This line basically means if you're publishing a bunch of information, but your subscriber is like extremely slow whenever it loops, you're going to be publishing and publishing, and you're going to be sending a bunch more data than it can handle. And what this Q size equals 10 does is it literally just keeps like your 10 most recent things that you published. So like if you print like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the subscriber will see like 2 through 11. And it does that just so that like if you print like 5,000 numbers, it just sees the most recent and it just goes through the most recent. Obviously you can change this number to like whatever you want, but we don't recommend making it too high just because it might slow stuff down. So I mean, Q size equals 10 is perfectly fine. And in reality, you just want the most recent number. So like even 1 or 2 is fine, but no, we'll go for 10 just because. Yeah, so the next line right here is rate. I'm gonna name mine the rate again, just to show you guys. You can name it whatever you want. So we have the rate is equal to rospy.rate. And then in here, you say how many times you want your code to loop. So let's say I want my code to loop 10 times in 1 second. I put a 10 in here. So you can see 10 Hz, 10 hertz, means 10 times in 1 second, this code is going to loop. And then now I tell it like the code that's going to loop. So like while not rospy.is underscore shutdown. So while rospy is not shut down, so while rospy is not shut down, run this code. So if there's no problems with ROS, run this following code. And it wants me to do all of this. I'm going to name mine the string just because I can. I'm going to name it the string, and then I'm going to say, all right, fine, I'll do it their way just because, just for time's sake. So they want me to make a string, and they want me to say, let's make it different. Let's say, what should we say? Instead of hello world, we'll just say like hello there. And then in Python, %s means basically like you're going to be inserting a string into here. Like the S is for string. So hello there followed by a certain like string. And then this % at the outside says this is what the string is. rospy.get time. So the time that like your ROS has been running for, put that into here. So our message is going to be hello there, and then like some random time. And then every time this loops, it's going to be increasing. So the time is going to be increasing. This number here will be increasing. And I'll change this. Hopefully we'll have time. I should go a little faster. I'll change this, what the thing we're sending is in like after we get stuff going. This next line here, rospy.loginfo. And then it says hello string. I named mine the string. Make sure if you like change the name, you know what you changed it to. So log info the string. And this is literally the exact same kind of as print. So what rospy.loginfo does is it logs the string and it prints it onto your terminal. And print just prints it onto the terminal. Log info is actually better because there's some ROS has like some troubleshooting commands that let you see like where your code went wrong or where you're receiving a certain error. And if you do rospy.loginfo, I believe it lets you like look at your data and everything while you're checking for errors and stuff like that. Something like that, but I'm just going to use print. It's so much simpler. So I'll just throw print. We all know what print does. It just prints this. So we made a string. It has this stuff in it. And then I want to print that string out. And then the pub that I named up here, dot publish the string. So now I want to publish the string. And that's all that that does. And then a rate.sleep. This rate.sleep works together with this, oh, sorry, whoops. The rate.sleep. Here, the rate.sleep works together with this line up here. And it basically if your code is running too quickly, it'll put your code to sleep for like a millisecond or two so that the code loops 10 times in 1 second. So this line and this line work together to loop the code for this many times per second. So mine is going to loop 10 times per second. And then you have this mumbo jumbo that Python comes with. I'm not a fan of it, but you have to put it. So if name equals main means if you run this code yourself, basically. So you know how you can import codes from other places, right? So like I want to import the ROS.py commands, right? So over here, I put import ROS.py. If I wanted to, I could import this code somewhere else. So like I could say import Aren_pub, and it would give me access to this. But what this main name equals main says is if I run this code myself without importing it. So if I do like in the terminal Python rnpub or ROS run rnpub, that means that this is true. And then if that's true, then what it does is you say try, and then I named my code the talker. Right here, we named it the talker. So if I run this code, try the talker. So run this loop, literally, that's all it says is just run this loop. And then unless rospy.ros interrupt, I should just copy paste, ROS interrupt exception, and then pass. So if ROS gets interrupted for any reason, then just pass, don't do anything. So if there's some sort of ROS interruption, pass. If not, then run the talker, which is just this huge code over here. And that's all there is to a publisher. So if I go ahead and I save that, we now have a publisher right here. Okay, I'm gonna leave that where it is for now, and I'm gonna quickly go into a subscriber. So let's name it. We named this one pub.py. I'm gonna name this one sub.py. Okay. So now we're into the sub, and this code is actually much shorter than the pub code. If you scroll down. Yeah, by the way, here underneath the publisher, it tries to explain what each line does. It skips over some lines here and there. I definitely recommend going through it just because they might have explained something better than I did. But from what I remember, I think the way I said it is as clear as you can probably get. But still feel free to go through this. There might be some information that I skipped over. So definitely go through that. But underneath that, we have the writing the subscriber node. And I'm going to skip all of that because this basically says like import this code, but I'm just going to write it myself. And this time I'll just copy paste just to save us time. So this is the same exact thing that it was in the publisher. We're telling it that it's Python. We're importing the ROS Python commands, and then we're going to be publishing a string. So I need to import like the string definition. And then I'm going to skip over this for now. This callback, I'm going to skip over it for now. And I'm going to go actually down here to listener. And just like before, I'll name it the listener. And then what I'll do here actually is I'll open up another terminal and I'll put my Python code in the corner over here. That's good enough. Okay. Just because I need to look at what these things, what we named these stuff. So I want to reference there. So now I'm naming my loop the listener. It really doesn't matter what you name it. You can name it whatever you want. But maybe I should put this over here. But yeah. So this is the entire code. It's this short, literally. If you ignore these comments, it's like 10 lines. But define the listener. And then in this listener loop, this time it does it correctly. I don't know why the other one is different, but this time we do, I'll just type it. This time we do a init node. And then now you give it the name of this node. I named the other one our publisher. So I'm going to go ahead and stay with this script and name this one our subscriber. So initialize a node named our subscriber. And the anonymous equals true line I'll throw into there. You don't really need it, but I'll just put it just because. So we made a node named our subscriber, and then we have rospy.subscriber. You see over here how we had to put like the pub equals rospy.publisher. Here we don't need that. We just say rospy.subscriber, and then we tell it where we're subscribing to. And it doesn't matter if you use the quotation marks or the, I don't know what the single one is called, but it doesn't matter as long as you have one of the two there. You tell it where you're subscribing to. Just do one. So rospy.subscriber and then the topic that you're subscribing to. We named our topic over here, our topic. So subscribe to our topic. The sort of message that's like, instead of chatter, it's our topic, right? And then the sort of message that we're going to be sending, we're receiving a string. So over here, we sent a string. Over here, we're receiving a string. And then this last one is very different from publisher. The way that ROS wants you to do this is it wants you to have a callback function. So most people just write either callback or they put CB, short for callback. Let me see here for a second. Could have sworn I had something here last time. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So instead of callback and all of that, I'm going to make it simple. I'm just going to name it my loop. So now up here, we define my loop. And what just happened here is we made a node and we named it our subscriber. We're subscribing to our topic. The message that we're going to receive is a string. And every time that we receive a string, run my loop. So every single time that we receive a string, it runs this loop over here. And now we're going to tell it what happens in this loop. And now one big difference here is you need to name the variable. So I'm going to name mine. It doesn't really matter. Let's name it like the info, for example. So we're subscribed to our topic, we're receiving a string, and every time we receive a string, call my loop. And then in my loop, this string that we received gets put into this variable named the info. Okay? So we have a variable named the info, and it's a string now, and it's whatever that message is. And then here, instead of this whole ROS pi mumbo jumbo again, I should speed up. I'm going to write print the info dot data. So that's literally all you do. See here how they wrote data dot data. That's because they named it data, and that's super confusing for no reason at all. So I'm going to name mine the info.data. So print the data, basically. So every time we receive data, go to this loop, and then print the data. That's all that does. And then I'm going to come down here again. I'm going to speed up. rospy.spin. What this does is it literally just it just loops the code, and it just keeps looping. And every time that it receives a message from something you subscribe to, it like sends you to the loop. And that's like that's all spin does. It's nothing super special, yeah. But that's all there is to that. And then you have that same stuff as before. If name is equal to underscore main underscore, just run the listener. That's all you have. That's all a subscriber is. So you're initializing a node. You're saying, I want to subscribe to this topic. And then every time that we receive a message on that topic, run this loop. And then all the loop does is it prints out the data. Okay? Yeah, let's just leave it like that. I should probably explain what this stuff is over here. Actually, I mean, no, you don't really need to care about this that much. It's just like, it's just printing out something fancy. So it wants to say like, I heard data. We could do that if you want, but I'm just going to print out the data. Let's just go for this. It's so much simpler. But that's our subscriber now. So now we have a publisher and we have a subscriber. So to get this to work now, here's the whole other task, is we have to go to our like workspace folder. So whatever this workspace folder is named for you guys, you want to go there where you see like your build, devel, and install. And then in here, you want to run cat-can-make. And then cat-can-make is going to go through and it's going to compile, and it will, how do you explain this? It'll like compile and it'll, oh, wait, I forgot something, my bad. See here, if I type in ls, see how everything else is like green and these two are still white? If you want to run a command with ROS, or a code with ROS, it has to be executable. So this line here, chmod, it's like change mode, or change mod, I guess, I don't know. But it makes the file executable. So if I say chmod aren pub.py, and then I do ls, see how it turned green? Here it was white, here it's green. Now this file is executable. And then I'll do the same thing, plus x sub.py, and now that code is green as well. So now both codes are executable and we can use them with ROS. And I'll just type clear. If anybody needs that line, it's right there, chmod a plus x. Yeah, but now over here, I'll run cat-can-make one more time, just to be safe. Okay, everything is made. And then you want to run source devel setup.bash. And then now that we're done with that, we can finally do ROS run. And if you guys remember the name of the package. So my package over here is named Robo Nodes. So ROS run Robo Nodes. And then my code is called Aren sub.py. Can you guys see this down in the corner over here? So ROS run Robo Nodes is my package, and then Aren sub.py. And if I press enter, my code is running. And the reason absolutely nothing is happening is because this is the subscriber. And if you remember, the subscriber only prints something whenever something is published to that topic. So now over here, I'll make a new terminal actually, and I'll X out this one. Now over here, I'll do ROS run. Oh, wait. you have to do source devel setup.bash. Okay, now I'll do ROS run robo nodes, and then here here I ran the subscriber. Here I want to run my publisher, right? And see what happens. Watch what happens here the second I press enter. So I press enter, it prints over here, and immediately it prints over there as well. So this guy is publishing to a topic, this guy is subscribing to that topic, two completely separate codes, and they're still talking to each other. And that's how this is basically working. So if I go ahead here and I open up what we did before, if you guys remember, ROS run RQT graph, where it showed like turtle teleop to turtle sim or whatever, and it drew the arrow. If I run this, you see what happened here? It says, I can't point, oops. It says our publisher is what we named it. And this is the anonymous part. So it just threw 400 random numbers at the end of it. Our publisher published to our topic, and our subscriber subscribed to our topic. And if I close this, here's the publisher, here's the subscriber, they're both receiving the same message. And if I stop this code over here, this code over here freezes. Because this is my publisher, and if I stop the publisher, the subscriber, it's still running, but it's not receiving anything. Awesome, there we go. So that's a publisher and a subscriber. With 4 minutes left. Let's see. I think I'm gonna go into it just because I have some time. I'm gonna really quickly go into source, robosub, robo nodes, source again. And I'm gonna edit my publisher and subscriber really quickly, just see if I can do this very quickly. So over here, we were sending a string, right? So we imported a string and we sent a string and everything was with strings. I'm gonna show you guys really quickly that you can do this with whatever you want. If you actually go here and you type in ROS standard messages and you click on the first thing that comes up. Any slower? Okay. It prints out this huge list of all of the standard messages that ROS has. So these are all the things you can import. So like here, we were importing string. I'm gonna pick one, let's say like an int 16. I wanna send a number, so an integer, 16-byte integer. So just a number basically. So import int 16. And now in publisher, we come here and we change string to int 16. And then now here, instead of making this huge string thing, I'm actually gonna make a counter. So up here, I'm gonna say counter is equal to 0. So start a counter and set it equal to 0. And then every time you loop, geez, there we go. Counter is equal to, I'll do it the long way. Counter is equal to counter plus 1. There's shorter ways of writing this, but I'll just put it like this. So you start off at 0. It comes in as 0 plus 1. Now counter is at 1. It loops again, counter's at 1, it adds 1, now counter's at 2. And every time this loops, it adds 1 to counter. And then here I want to print counter, and then I want to publish counter. And since this is just a number, it's an integer, we're publishing an integer, everything works out. And that's all the changes that I made over here. And then now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to nano sub.py. And then now we're receiving an int, so int 16. And then our topic is sending us an int 16 instead of a string. And now up here, I'll leave it the way that it is. Just really quickly, I'll leave it the way that it is. So we're receiving an int 16, and then I want to print that data out. So I'll save this code, And I'll come over here and I'll save this code. And instead of doing ROS run, I'll just do Python just because it's quicker. Python Aren pub, and it's printing out numbers perfectly. And now Python Aren sub. And the second I press enter, see how it starts from where this guy was at whenever we ran the code. So I stop this guy. Whenever I started the subscriber, the publisher was already at 73. So there's a train every 2 minutes when I start recording. Yeah, so we started at 73, so that starts at 73. I just want to point that out real quick. And see how we're printing out every single number? That's what our subscriber is doing. It just prints out every number. But now that we're dealing with ints, really quickly, I'm just going to change the code up a tiny bit. So what I'm gonna do here, no questions? Okay, cool. You guys are pretty silent, nice. I don't know if that means you understood nothing or you understood everything.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So the only one at a time to put that type for the message. So you can combine, right? Integers, string, and so forth, right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna, it's past 12. If you guys are fine with staying for another like 10 minutes, I'll get into making custom messages. And in a custom message, you can send a bunch of different data at once on one topic.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. If you guys are fine with staying, I'll go over that as well. Yeah, but in this loop here, I was just gonna really quickly show you guys, you don't have to just send every data and print every data from the subscriber. Like the point of the subscriber is that you wanna do something with that data, right? So I'm gonna make an if loop right here. So if the info dot data, so if my data, there's a Python command named %2. And like if I divide it by 2, so if like I did /2, what this does is it divides the data by 2, right? So like if my data was 4, the answer here would be 2. But %2, what this does is it divides the data by 2, and then it gives you the remainder. So like 4 divided by 2 is 2 with the remainder 0, right? 6 divided by 2 is 3 with remainder 0. So I'm saying now if the remainder is 0, which means if it's an even number, then print the data. Do I need a, yeah, I need a colon, I believe. Does that make sense to everybody? If the integer that I'm sending divided by 2 doesn't have a remainder, if it's an even number, so like 600 here, if I sent it, divided by 2 is 300, there's no remainder, 600 over 3 is 200, there's no remainder, or 300 or whatever. The remainder is equal to 0, print the data out. That's the only change I'm gonna make over here. So then over here, if I do Python publisher, and then Python subscriber, watch what happens. So over there in the publisher, we're printing out every single number. Over here in the subscriber, 100, 102, 104, 106, 108, 140, 142, it's only printing out the even numbers. So subscriber on the right side, printing out everything, publisher on the right side, printing out everything, subscriber on the left side, only printing out even numbers. Awesome, but that's just a small way you can manipulate the code. Okay, that was it for all of the most basic stuff. Are there any questions at this point?
Just a little bit ago, did you mention that a topic can only hold one type of message, or it can hold multiple different types of messages?
No, so a topic can only have one type of message, but you can make a custom message that has a bunch of messages in it. And that's what I can go over that in right now if nobody has questions. Because that's what we use for both RoboSub and for ASME. It's very important to make custom messages. Otherwise, we'd have 500 topics. Each one has a certain message type, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to send IMU data, for example, it has yaw, pitch, and roll, and those 3 different numbers. And so I'd have to have one topic for yaw, one for pitch, one for roll. Each one says like int16, right? Or I could just have one topic that has like all three combined. And I'll show you guys what that means in a minute.
It would still be the same message type, right? As it like an integer.
Yeah. So it would
Okay.
be an integer, just you wouldn't write integer though.
Okay.
I'll show you what you write in a minute, yeah.
But can it combine like a message and the string and the integer in the one
Yes.
custom message?
Yes.
So what you can think of them is like a class you define, and
Okay,
inside of that class, you're putting a bunch of different data types.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. And I'll show you guys that in a minute, yeah. Is there any other questions? Anything not custom message related?
When a node is can only one node publish to a topic, but multiple nodes can subscribe to it?
No, so actually multiple nodes can publish to one topic and multiple nodes can subscribe to one topic.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's just usually you only have actually maybe that's not true. No, never mind. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Do you
when
find it
have-
off? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, what? Go ahead.
Do you find it often that it's only one publisher?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is almost always you only have one publisher to a topic, but you might have multiple subscribers to a topic.
Okay, yeah, that's so it made sense in my head.
Yeah.
I do have a question. How about
What's
that when you use the Python to run that, but if you use the ROS run to run that, do you need to recompile? Or you need to make it executable? I mean, when you added the source file after you did it before?
Let me see here. Robo Nodes. What's the name again? Aren pub dot. Shit.
I think you had to do ROS.
No, ROS run is going. No, okay, so it works. Yeah. You don't have to if you make changes to your code. You
Yes.
don't have to do cat can make again and again. That's just the first time you initialize it. You have to do it.
But do you need to do the C mode again? No.
See what? See what? See what?
Yeah, C mode.
No,
to
you
make
only have to make it executable once.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shamad. No, yeah. You only have to do that once. I call it Shamad.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if that's the right way to do it. Yeah. Yeah, but you only do that once. So like if I do ls right here, it's green permanently.
I see. Unless you create a new one before you do it one time, you have to do it, right? The first time you have to do it.
Yeah, so the first time I made this, I made it executable, and now I don't have to worry about that anymore. And I ran cat can make, so I don't have to worry about running cat can make anymore as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and like if I'm in my, like for example, here, if I do clear, like right here, I'm in my home, right? So I'm in this like the swiggly place. Over here, I can do ROS run robo nodes rn pub.py, and it still works perfectly fine. So it doesn't matter where you are. That's the nice part about ROS run. Because here I can't do Python because my file isn't in here. I have to go like all the way over there and then I can do Python. But this works anywhere.
So the source code, the one that you do, the source develops and the setup.bash,
Yeah.
and that's you only do it when you want to open the new terminal?
Source, yeah.
Okay. So is there any other way to do it that without the every time you open the window terminal that you don't have to do that?
Yeah, you need to add that source line to your bash setup. There's a page somewhere, and I gotta find it again so I can link it. If you add that to your bash setup, then yeah, when you open the window, you don't have to run the source anymore, unless you add another file in. You chmod it to executable, at which point you have to kind of refresh it so it knows it is a new file.
I see.
Yeah, so this is your setup.bash file right here. You can actually edit it. And if you add it in at the end, it'll automatically do that every time. I
Open
think,
the terminal.
yeah, but there's a tutorial somewhere in the ROS tutorials that tells you how to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, is there any other questions? Let's get out of there. Any in the chat? Nothing? We're all good? Okay, awesome. Yeah, another really important thing is custom messages. Basically everything like both RoboSub and ASME related, you're gonna need custom messages. See a lot of senior design guys here. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's get into that, custom messages. So we go into source, we go into RoboSub, we go into Robo Nodes. And before, I was going into this source folder, right? And in that source folder, I had all of my publishers, all of my subscribers, everything. But to make a custom message, what you do in this normal folder, like just before source, so before, basically like where you see package and CMake lists, in here you want to do make directory message. You want to run make directory message. So you make a directory and you name a message. I already have one, so if I do ls, you can see I have one right here. So I'm not going to make one, but I'm going to go into there. And now in here, you can make a bunch of custom message files. And so to make one, you go obviously nano, like always, and then you name your file. Let's name it, how about let's go my custom message dot message. So nano my custom message dot message. And if I press enter, so in this message folder, we have a file named my custom message dot message. And then and then you're gonna need to know these guys right here. So as an example here, let's take the IMU, because both robots need an IMU, right? Just for those people that don't know, an IMU is inertial measurement unit. It basically tells you what angles you're facing in all three axes. So like if I search up here, yaw, pitch, roll, and where's the plane photo? It's the one everybody uses. Here you go. So this guy right here, where you have roll, you have yaw, and then you have pitch. And those are like the three angles that the IMU gives you, right? So we're gonna make the IMU custom message right here. So it's extremely complicated. Try to stay along with me here. So since they're just numbers from like 0 to 360, let's just make 3 integers, right? So extremely complicated here. Int 16, yaw. That's a custom message right there. Int 16, yaw pitch. Int 16, roll. We just made a custom message. Int 16, yaw, pitch, and roll. So this message, whenever I send it, it's gonna send 3 numbers, yaw, pitch, and roll. And just to show you guys that you can send out multiple stuff, I'll throw a string into here. So you have all the 3, yaw, pitch, and roll, and then you'll have a string. How about we name it, what do we name it? Status, how about that? That sounds good. Status. So yaw, pitch, and roll are the 3 numbers that we're sending, and then we're sending a string of named status. And these are the names of the variables, right? And now I'm going to save that and go back in here. And I'm going to make it super tiny. And I'll throw it down here. Okay? Now coming back to this Firefox over here. So we finished all this subscriber stuff. If you scroll down, it tells you, it tries to explain some of it, and then it tells you to run cat can make. We already did all of that. Oops. Okay. Here, we skipped this one, tutorial 10. I don't know why 10 is before 12, but I mean, we're going to go back to 10 now. So going back to 10, this tells you, like right here, it tells you a few different kinds of things you can use. Actually, I just realized, I think these guys are supposed to be lowercase. So int 16, int 16, int 16, and string. I don't know if it matters, but just to be safe, I'll make them lowercase. So
I think it does.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be lowercase. It's just capitalized in the other one that I was looking at. Yeah, because right here they have it lowercase.
Anyways, just try it, see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so it tells you make a message directory and do all that. And okay, so now we have this. Now I'm gonna go over here. So I made this .message file and it has all that stuff in it. Now I'm gonna go back to here. So this is like right before the message folder. And we have a package file and a cmake list.txt file. And now we're actually going to be editing these. So if I go to nano package.xml, it's actually extremely simple to edit this stuff. If you go into your package and scroll down a little bit, you're going to see here, make this a little bit larger. You're going to see in here, there's a line named build depend message generation, and another line that says exec depend message runtime. And all you're going to do is uncomment those two lines. Sorry for going over time, by the way. You're going to uncomment those two lines. I try to go a little quicker. And then the way you do that is you literally just take off the exclamation point and the two dashes on both sides. So you have less than, greater than, and then that's it. And then that's all the changes you make to package.xml. So you just add in this and you add in that. And then you get out of there. And then you go nano cmake list.txt. And now in here, there's a few things that you have to change. If you go to tutorial 10, so the one that I'm on right now is tutorial 10, and you scroll down, it tells you right here to open package and change that. And then it tells you to open cmake list.txt, and it tells you to go here. So here where it says find package, catkin required components, you should already have these three in there. But now you want to add in this line right here, message generation. So go ahead and add that into there. And then if you scroll down, there's a, next up is catkin. If you scroll down and keep scrolling down, there's a section right here that says catkin package, catkin depends, message runtime. And then you have the open parenthesis, and don't forget the close parenthesis at the end over here. So catkin package, catkin depends, message runtime. And it doesn't matter. The rest of the stuff is just comments. I could delete it, but I'll just leave it. So make sure that that's uncommented and you have that in there. So you have that, and then there's like two more things, and then you're done. Yeah. So then next up is this guy right here. So here you have a add message files section, and then you have files, and then you have the name of all of your message files. So like all of these ones, these are all of my RoboSub custom messages, right? But if I come here, the name of my custom message here was my custom message.message. So I'll go here and I'll write my custom message.message. Jeez. So my custom message.message. And I have to add that into here. And then last thing you have to do is you have to go back up to the, no, go down a little bit. And right here, you'll see a line that says generate messages, dependencies, and just make sure that standard messages are in there. It should already be in there, I think, but if it's not, just make sure that you, actually it might not be in there to be honest. So make sure that you add that in. And those are the four things that you change in here. And that's all you have for cmake lists. So we edited the cmake list.txt, we edited the package.txt, we made a custom message file, and it has these four things in it. And now we go back to the workspace and we run catkin make. And it's going to take a minute because we actually changed some stuff. So give it some time. It's going to go through and recreate everything. And should be done in like 5 seconds here. All right, cool. And my folder is a little bit large, so it takes some time to do everything. But we'll go into source, we'll go into robo sub, we'll go into robo nodes, and I'll do clear. And now we're back in the robo nodes folder. And now I'm going to go into the source file, okay? So in the source file, we had this pub.sub, and we had this sub.sub, right? So I'm going to go nano pub.sub. So this is the publisher, right? And now I'm going to delete this guy. We're not using standard messages anymore. That's old people use that. We're going to use cool new stuff, right? So here you put in the name of your folder. So my like main folder here is called robo nodes. Your guys's, it might be called like it was like beginner tutorial, right? So it might be called like beginner tutorials. And then this dot message means see here, if I open this up, if you look at the path, it's robonodes/message, right? So here you say from robonodes dot message. So like from the message folder, basically. Import my custom message. And real quick, let me just double check really quickly. Do I need a dot message at the end of that? Let me just see if I can find it. No, you don't. Okay, cool. Yeah, so from robonodes and the message folder, import my custom message. Okay, that's all you need to do there. And now over here, instead of an int16, on our topic, we're going to be publishing my custom message. And the only difference here is instead of initializing like counter as 0, we're going to actually initialize counter as my custom message type. Okay, so this is a variable. Let's not name it counter. Let's name it like the data or something. So the data is a variable, and it's a my custom message type. That means that it's going to have these things in it, basically. Just think of it like that. So it's going to have these things in it. And now I can delete all of this. And now I can say the data. And in here, I can set each one of these guys is like each variable number, basically. So let's start off with yaw. So the data dot yaw. So period yaw is equal to, and it needs to be some sort of integer. Let's say 50. That's all there is to that. The data dot pitch is equal to, let's say like 200. The data dot roll is equal to, how about 125? And finally, the data dot status. This one is a string. So I'll put this one as, what kind of status should our robot have? How about
drowning?
Doing well. No.
No, drowning.
Doing well. I'll put a G in there too. Doing well, but drowning. How about that? Well, we're both happy now. Doing well, but drowning. That's the string that we're sending. And we're also sending yaw, pitch, and roll. And now I want to print the data. Actually, here. Over here, I'm not going to print anything. On the dot publish, we're going to publish the data, right? So I made the data variable, and it's a my custom message type, and we're sending a my custom message type. So we're going to send the data, and then everything else is the same. Okay, does this make sense to everybody so far? Yes? Okay, awesome. All right, cool. Good, good, good. Okay, so that's all there is to the pub side. So now, should I X this out? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and X out this custom message thingy over here because I have the information right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and X this out and close that. I should have probably X that out, whatever. Okay, so new terminal. We come here and we go nano. Now we're gonna edit the subscriber, right? So it's the same exact thing. We're gonna have from robonodes.message import my custom message, and then initialize our subscriber. I'm actually going to turn anonymous to false. And I'm going to do the same thing over here just because it's annoying to have a bunch of numbers at the end of it for no reason. So I'm going to turn both of these to false. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, okay, so then our subscriber is going to subscribe to our topic. The message that we're receiving is a my custom message type. And that's all there is to that. And then now we have to edit the loop, right? So the info is going to be a my custom message type. So I can delete all of this. And I can delete that. And then now instead of .data, I could just print the info. So I could just do like this. So I could leave this, if you see it the way that it is, this is like finalized. I can press save over here. I can just press exit over here. And if I do Python publisher, what did I do wrong? robonodes.message, import my custom message. Okay, it looks like I spelled it right, which means I
No,
need to
there's always
source.
that weird issue of importing from the message folder.
No, source and I'm done. Source devil setup.bash. And then I'll do ROS run instead of Python. Or ROS run robo blanked out. Robo nodes Aren pub.py. Yes, it worked this time. Okay. So if you remember, we edited the publisher so that it doesn't print anything out, right? So I deleted the print part. So like if I go over here, nano pub.py, there's no printing. So this guy isn't printing anything, but it is working right now. So over here now, if I do ROS run, let's try pub Python and see if it works. Python sub.py, and I press enter. All right. Workspace, source, devil, setup, dot, bash, ROS run, robo, nodes, sub.py. Now, if I press enter, look at the data that we're getting. This is just, if you see the bar down here, it's getting smaller and smaller just because data is coming farther and farther, even though the screen's not really updating. But you're getting a bunch of data. It's a nice looking data, yeah. Yeah, but if I stop this and I grab this scroll bar and we come up, see, so we printed out like a billion different kinds of data, and let's go to the top over here. So we printed out yaw is 50, pitch is 200, roll is 125, and status is doing well but drowning. And I could even, let me just open up a new one. Go to source, robo sub, robo node source, and I'll edit my subscriber. So instead of printing out the info, what if I only want to print out, let's say I only want to print out my yaw and my status. So like ASME, for example, they don't really care much about roll and pitch too much. Like there's a small portion, but not that much. But so let's say we only want yaw and status. So print the info.yaw and print the info.status. Okay? So we're printing the info.yaw and we're printing the info.status. And then now, if there's a roll and pitch in our row, we have a problem. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, go. Yeah. Anyway, the info.yaw and the info.status. So that's the only thing that we're going to be printing now. And that's how you do it, is you put dot and then the one that you're looking for. And then now if I run this code again, See, now it's printing out 50 and doing well but drowning. And so we're printing out yaw and we're printing out status. And that's all there is to custom messages, really. So if you go back and you go into like the message folder and you nano my custom message, in here you can change this as much as you want. You can put in like 500 different variables in here. And yeah, that's all there is to that. Sorry for going overtime by like a half hour. Geez. I just had to make sure I covered everything with you guys. This is the last ROS workshop that we're going to be doing, and that was literally everything that's super important in ROS. Still feel free to go through those ones that I skipped and read through the Python one, just because you might want to learn it from like a different wording. And yeah. So any questions at this point now?
For source devel setup bash, when
Yes.
is it required to do that? Is it when you're running a message?
It's
Or new message, when you're using a new message?
So it's gonna be whenever you're you open up a new terminal basically, and you want to run like some sort of ROS stuff. Ricardo, do you know exactly like the exact cases you really need?
So yeah, like you were saying right now. So that source devel is basically a file that makes your terminal recognize the shorthand version of commands. So it recognizes ROS run, it recognizes you have packages, and it recognizes that there's scripts inside those packages, which makes trying to find the stuff easier because you can tab to autocomplete. If you don't run it, then it doesn't know all these things exist. So like Albert was saying, like you can actually set it up with your bash initialization to always run that source when you open it. The only downside is if you add another package or you add another script file, you manually have to resource the file to make sure it recognizes anything new there.
Yeah.
So Aren, if you want to, like you can demonstrate it right now. Try running the packages without running the source devel.
He already did. How was the error message that popped up that to make you know that you needed to run that code?
Yeah, so it was literally the error message that came up was literally just telling me that my message doesn't exist.
Okay, got it.
And I checked the name and I checked the other name and I was like, that's exactly correct. So I knew.
So you just do setup.bash.
It has to be source, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
One question, Aren.
Yeah, what's up?
Will you be doing any tutorial for the Arduino subscriber and the publisher?
I could, yeah. Yeah, I could, yeah. I have it on my, I have the Arduino IDE here on Ubuntu. For now, I'm going to stick to the schedule and do the state machine workshops and the computer vision workshops after these. But I could, I was thinking of doing an Arduino workshop on controls. I could do an Arduino workshop on publishers and subscribers as well. I might not record it. That's the only difference.
I see.
But, so yeah, I could do one, yeah.
Sometime in the future, or is that what you're saying? Okay.
Later this semester, maybe like over winter or something like that, yeah. Any other questions?
Do you often use the debugging tool?
No, I've never touched it.
Okay.
It's a nice tool to have. I've never touched it.
Got it.
Yeah. It's probably a good tool. I don't know. I don't know it too well, and it hasn't really been that useful yet. Maybe for actually troubleshooting, we haven't had like full testing on the actual robot. So maybe at that time it might help out, but so far it hasn't really done much.
You've ran this you've ran the entire code for RoboSub?
What do you mean the entire code?
Or you've used ROS on RoboSub?
Yeah, we've used ROS on it, but we haven't had water testing with it. So
okay.
From my experience, the only testing I've done with RoboSub is I uploaded my controls code I uploaded controls code to the Arduino, and then the Arduino just controlled the thrusters, and that was all the testing that we did.
Oh, just basic Arduino IDE.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there was not really any time because we got shut down.
Yeah, it got shut down right when we were like
Yeah.
starting up testing.
Right.
That's why. So we have a lot of like the skills. It's just eventually we need an actual sub to test certain things on it.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? We're good? Okay. Thanks, Ovan. And thanks, Richard. Okay, cool. In that case, I'll end the recording. If I can just get the recording button